Hello everyone and welcome to One Run Academy. Now let's waste no time and let's discuss the first 10 questions and explain their options. So starting with question number 1, which says which of the following statements is a valid test objective? And our options are A. Validation of the work product quality. No verification is required. B. Verification of the work product quality. No validation is required. C. Verification of software compliance to legal and regulatory requirements. D. Verification and validation of software perfection and absence of defects. So let's discuss these options together. Option A and option B both are obviously incorrect because software testing is concerned with both verification and validation of the work product. Just a reminder, verification is the assessment of the correctness of the functionality according to the predetermined requirements, while validation is the evaluation of the matching for the user's need. So moving to option C, which is the correct answer, because verifying the legal or regulatory requirements is actually a test objective. Failing to meet these requirements may cause the software to be returned back again to the development team, and this process is very costly and time consuming. So imagine an e-commerce app that took several months to develop, then got rejected by the force of law because the app is not complying with the VAT or taxes, for example. Can you imagine the financial and reputational consequences of such a thing? I think it would be catastrophic. Okay, so let's take a look at option D. The absence of defects claim is inaccurate. This contradicts one of the test principles, which says testing shows the presence, not the absence of defects, and that makes option D not the correct answer. In case you didn't notice, this question is related to the test objective topic, so you can refer back to the particular topic if you want to study it again. Alright, now let's move to question number 2, which says you are reviewing a code of a particular mobile app. You found that the developer never implemented a mitigating procedure to handle when a user tries to divide over 0. But the UI designer made the equal button will not work if a division over 0 is detected. This will make the code unexecutable and will prevent the application from crashing. Which of the following statements most describe this situation? Okay, so let's take a look at the options available. A. We can say that the app has no errors because the defect will never appear. B. Even if the defect will never execute at the moment, it might be in the future. C. This is an example of trivial errors where no action should be taken to save time and effort. Finally, D. The application must warn the user not to try to divide over 0 as this is mathematically impossible. Alright, so I suppose you got the point from this question. The code itself is defective because it doesn't handle the exception of dividing over 0. However, this defect cannot be executed into a failure at the moment because when the UI detected both 0 and division operation, it will prevent the equal button from being tapped by the user. Anyway, let's take a look at the options. Option A, we can clearly see that the app actually does have a defect that's caused by an error made by the developer. Whether it turns into failure or not, we cannot ignore the fact and pretend that it doesn't exist. So that makes option A not the answer we are looking for. Option B seems reasonable. With any future app update or any UI change, the app might allow the equal button to be tapped while dividing by 0, allowing the defect to turn into a failure. So this defect must be fixed as soon as possible, and we would not rely on the UI to act defensively. Moving to option C, which is also not correct, as the assumption of the unimportance of this defect defies logic. Finally, option D is unmistakably a bad option. You cannot conceal such a defect with another mistake by turning the app into a non-user friendly disaster. So that's great, and let's take a look at question number 3. To boost the success and rating of their disliked and glitchy calendar software, your organization decided to hire a highly skilled tester. After months of testing, the calendar software seems to be almost bug-free, but the number of downloads and the app rating are not improving that much. From the perspective of software principles, how do you explain this situation? So that's a good question, and the options to choose from are A. Exhaustive testing is impossible. B. Absence of defects fallacy. C. Testing shows the presence, not the absence of defects. And D. Tests wear out. Okay, so let's see what we got here. For option A, exhaustive testing does not seem like a good choice. You can see that nothing is mentioned about testing everything in the question. Moving to option B, which looks like a valid explanation. This is because hiring a tester with high experience plus spending a lot of time fixing the software anomalies cannot alone guarantee the success of the software. There are many other factors that contribute to the success of the software. For example, the user friendliness of the UI, its ease of use, the presence of market competition, and so on. Options C and D represent principles of testing that are far more irrelevant to the context of the question, and obviously none of them could be considered as a correct answer. So we will take option B as the correct one. Now let's jump to question number 4, which says, your manager assigned you a task of writing a script of automated regression testing. Which of the following activities is the one that would typically come before you do this task? So the options are analyzing project risks as option A, option B, writing test cases from test conditions, C, defining test objectives, D, logging test results. So the key to answering this question correctly is to find out what test activity you were assigned by your manager. You are requested to write a test script. So writing test scripts is a part of test implementation. Now ask yourself, which activity comes before the test implementation? Can you remember? It's test design. So option A describes test analysis obviously, while option B refers to test design. Option C refers to test planning. And finally, option B describes test execution. This makes option B the correct answer. Regarding question number 5, we are provided with a document containing a table with 2 columns. The first column holds some items such as 100% test case executed, 0% critical security issues opened, 100% defects logged, and a minimum of 80% defects are fixed. The second column seems like a place where check marks can be added. So the question challenges you to mention the test activity that produced this document. So the first step is to determine what this document is. In fact, some may assume that this document is part of test summary report in which the test status is reported, but the last row stating that a minimum of 80% of defects are fixed defies this assumption. It seems like a group of conditions and not declarative statements. Looking back at the other lines, we can see them clearly as conditions that needs to be fulfilled. So it's safe to say that this document is not a test summary report. Actually, it's a set of exit criteria for an iteration or test cycle. From this point, it's fairly straightforward. Ask yourself, which of the test activities produces the exit criteria? Of course, it's the test planning activity. Hence, the correct answer is A. Alright, we have reached halfway through this video, so if you feel like this content is useful, please give this video a thumbs up. Okay, so let's move to question number 6. Your test manager asks you to write the exit criteria for the current iteration of a news reading application under development. According to your knowledge, writing the entry and exit criteria is a managerial role. What would be the most suitable response to your manager's request? So, option A, you reject the delegation because testers cannot take the role of managers. B, you accept the delegation, but you must get help from other testers in your team. C, you accept the delegation as testers can sometimes play different roles. And D, you reject the delegation unless you get approval from other stakeholders. So, looking at the project, it's a relatively easy one, which a news reading app containing no critical security aspects like banking software, for example. Plus, the task is relatively easy, which is writing exit criteria, and not something very complicated like writing the test strategy. For your information, some managerial roles can be assigned to experienced testers, especially when the team is encountering time pressure. Hence, the correct answer is C, as testers can sometimes play different roles. Generally, in software development and more noticeably in agile models, the ultimate goal is to get the job done. So you'll find many instances where a tester may play the role of a business owner and collect the requirements for the client. So any person with time availability can perform any task if the required knowledge and skill is present in this person. All right, so question number 7 is fairly a straightforward question. It requires you to arrange the mentioned activities according to the level of independence, starting from the lowest up to the highest testing independence. So let's take a look at the options. 1. A tester from the same organization is reviewing the developer's code. 2. A developer is reviewing his own code. 3. Two developers are reviewing each other's code. 4. A freelance tester is reviewing the developer's code. Now you can see that the second one, a developer reviewing his own code, represent the lowest level of independence, followed by number 3, which is two developers reviewing each other's work product. An internal tester reviewing the code is higher in test independence, so it will come next. And finally, if you can hire an outsourced tester to do the review, this will be the highest level of independence. So the correct answer in this situation will be option D. Now let's see what we have for question number 8, which says, which option among the following is least suitable for the whole team approach? The options are self-driving car software, B, mobile games application, C, video streaming applications, D, discussion web forums. So this question encountered the domain where the whole team approach may not be suitable. To answer that, we must understand that in a whole team approach, everyone with the required knowledge can perform any task. The rhythm is fast and the level of test independence shifts towards the low levels. This makes the whole team approach an excellent choice for projects that requires a high pace. For example, developing a game for mobile devices. You'll need a fast-paced development model as you're continuously adding new game levels and features, and you change the layouts and graphics a lot. For development of safety-critical software, these fast-paced, low-test independent environments are not ideal. For example, self-driving cars, avionics software, and surgical robot controllers. These domains require a high level of test independence that is not applicable to the whole team approach. So that makes option A our answer to this question. Alright, so it's time to look at question number 9. It's a true or false question, and we are requested to extract the incorrect answer. The options are A. V model is an example of sequential SDLC. B. Prototyping is an example of incremental SDLC. C. In shift-left strategies, reviews come before dynamic testing. And D. The spiral model is an example of iterative SDLC. So luckily, this one is a pretty straightforward question. So regarding option A, example of sequential models are the V model and waterfall model. So this statement is true. Option A is not the answer we are looking for. And remember, we are looking for the not true option here. Option B seems like it's our hunt because prototyping is an example of iterative software development lifecycle and not an incremental SDLC model. Option C is a true statement where reviews actually come before dynamic testing in shift-left approach. So again, not the right option. Finally, option D also represents a true statement. The spiral model is an example of the iterative SDLC. So that makes option B the correct answer. Finally, let's take a look at the last question in this video. That's question number 10. In this question, we are provided with a piece of document. A famous format of given, when, then can be spotted, which is used to describe the expected behavior of the software. It's no-brainer that this format is most used in behavior-driven development, or BDD for short. That makes option D the correct answer. So we have reached the end of this video. If you have anything in mind, feel free to use the comment section below. And please check out our social media pages and follow us there. There is additional 6 exams on Udemy. You're welcome to join us there. And we will discuss the subsequent 10 questions in the next video, from question number 11 to question number 20. So I'll see you on the next one.